The United States is often called the land of opportunity, and for many immigrants it's been just that, an opportunity for a better life. But the story of immigration to the U.S. is a long and complicated one. Hi, I'm the host, and this is the first episode of our series, The Land of Opportunity, which explores the history of immigration to the United States. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to A Digital Studio. Their studio in New York is where we filmed this series. And if you're in New York or visiting New York, be sure to check them out. Alright, let's get to the history. The United States has always been a land of opportunity, or at least, that's what people have said about it. Throughout our history, people have come here from all over the world to escape persecution or to find better jobs, better lives for themselves and their kids. For some, the journey to the U.S. has been long and hard, but still they've come. When European settlers first arrived on the eastern coast of the United States in the early 1600s, they began a system of what we call indentured servitude. Basically, young men and women would sign contracts to work for wealthy landowners for several years in exchange for their freedom and passage to the New World. Many of these early immigrants were from England, but others came from Germany, France, the Netherlands, and even Africa. Some were political prisoners who had been convicted of crimes like stealing or, just disagreeing with the king. And others were simply poor people looking for a better life. Indentured servitude ended in the early 1800s, but by that time, slavery had become the main form of labor in the U.S., and it was deeply ingrained in the Southern economy. So, then the U.S. looked elsewhere for workers. After the Mexican War, the U.S. acquired a huge amount of new land, and with it, a large number of Mexican citizens. Many of them were already living and working in the U.S. as enslaved people, and after the war, they were able to purchase their freedom. In the decades that followed, millions of Mexicans would come to the U.S. to work in agriculture, mining, and other industries. During the mid-1800s, people began to pour into the U.S. from all over the world, escaping persecution and war. Between 1865 and 1914, more than 2 million people immigrated to the U.S. by the start of the 20th century. More than half of all Americans were foreign-born, and during this time, the U.S. became known as the land of opportunity. But not everyone was so lucky. During the 1920s, the U.S. experienced a period of intense economic growth, but the prosperity didn't last. By the 1930s, the Great Depression had hit, and with it, a wave of anti-immigrant sentiment. The U.S. began to pass laws, restricting immigration from certain countries, and also made it harder for immigrants already living in the U.S. to become citizens. So those are just a few of the events that have shaped our history. In the next episode of The Land of Opportunity, we'll continue to explore immigrant experiences through the stories of real people. See you then.